Hello, everyone, and welcome to another video at Love Soul Connection. Ever felt lonely while sitting right next to your partner? Maybe you've even thought, how did we get here? That sinking feeling of being disconnected is more common than you think. But guess what? You are definitely not alone in this. With time, a lot of marriages go through this that things become stale, boring, everything has its monotony, and you feel that you guys are not talking anymore, not connecting anymore, you haven't had sex in ages, and this is something that is now constantly nagging you. Whether it is in the quiet moments when you are scrolling through your phones in bed or when you're sitting together, but your worlds are apart emotionally. Loneliness in relationships is something that many people experience at one point or another. But the good news is that it's fixable. And by the end of this video, you are going to walk away with real strategies to rebuild that connection with your partner. If this sounds familiar already, then hit the like button. Let me know in the comments what moment in your relationship made you realize that you felt lonely. And subscribe to my channel and let's dive in. Why do you feel lonely in your relationship? It's a painful truth, right? It happens to the best of us. When you start feeling lonely, you are physically together, but yet emotionally, you are in two different places. Maybe you started sleeping in separate rooms and you just feel so emotionally disconnected with each other. Now, it's easy to assume that loneliness stems from physical distance, but that's not always the case. You can be in the same room, even at the same level, maybe with your partner, and still feel an emotional void in your relationship. Let's be real. Loneliness in a relationship isn't about being just physically apart, it's about emotional disconnection. Ever had that moment when you're sitting together, maybe you're watching TV, and you suddenly realize that you both haven't really talked in days? It is almost like you're sharing the same space, but not really sharing life anymore. Now, why does this happen? Maybe life has gotten busy, work, kids, stress, or maybe it's a buildup of small misunderstandings over time. Without realizing it, these moments they create emotional gaps in our relationship. And it's in these gaps that the loneliness starts creeping in. Think about this. A couple that I recently worked with, they had been married for 7 years. They both said that they felt more like roommates, going through the motions, but actually never really connecting with each other. Their conversations had become all about, simple logistics in life, like groceries, bills, what to do with the kids, pick up, drop, what's happening at work, to do lists, but no emotional check ins at all. No sharing of how they really felt. Sounds familiar? Another big reason that people feel lonely in relationships is unresolved emotional baggage. This isn't just about the arguments. This could be about any past traumas or any unmet emotional needs that never got addressed. For example, imagine that your partner is saying something very harmless to you, but it just triggers an old wound, something you might have gone through in the past. Maybe it's about feeling unseen or unheard, something that's been brewing beneath the surface for years. You just pull away emotionally, thinking, I'll deal with this on my own. But what you're really doing is actually building a wall between you and your partner. This happens more often than we realize. And what we don't communicate about builds up over time, creating distance and eventually loneliness. Can you think of a moment when you felt emotionally abandoned, even if your partner didn't realize it? Do share it in the comments below. So life's demands can take over. You are just burdened with responsibilities that are going on. There is a growing emotional distance between the two of you. And the third thing that causes that emotional disconnect is the lack of shared experiences. You guys are not spending any quality time with each other. You are not having those conversations like you used to do in the past. You are not being intimate. You haven't had sex for maybe months together. And when it happens, it's just like a random act where there is no interest and there's a complete lack of intimacy. So, this is what happens when you emotionally disconnect from each other. So, past hurts, unresolved conflicts, and unmet emotional needs can build walls between partners, creating a sense of emotional distance. These walls are often erected unconsciously, they just happen on its own, stemming from fears of vulnerability, past betrayals, or a lack of trust. They make it difficult to connect on a deeper level, leaving both the partners lonely and misunderstood. When our core needs love, validation, and connection, and these aren't met, then we can feel emotionally isolated, even in the presence of our loved ones. Past hurts can really bother us as we are carrying that baggage and we are reacting in the same way because of those limiting beliefs that we have. And the fear of being hurt again can create emotional barriers, making it difficult to truly open up and connect with our partners. Let me share an example of emotional baggage. Imagine a partner who has been raised in a family where their feelings were often dismissed. As an adult, they might be quick to take offense to any small, seemingly harmless comments from their partner, even though they aren't intended to be hurtful. This is a common example how past experiences can create triggers that unconsciously build emotional walls in relationships. Say, for example, your father always spoke to you in a particular manner. And now, when your husband unconsciously uses the same kind of statements, it triggers something and you start building that wall. So, past experiences, they start shaping our emotional responses and influencing how we perceive and how we react to situations in the present. These are unconscious triggers. They cause us to overreact to, seemingly harmless comments or situations. This constant activation of these triggers can build emotional walls, creating distance and difficulty in connecting with our partners. So, emotional baggage is one of the very big factors which can cause us to feel lonely in our relationships. Now, let's go to the next reason, the impact of technology, right? Today, we can't ignore one of the biggest silent killers of emotional intimacy, which is technology. We're all guilty of it, right? You come home, you're both tired, and instead of talking, you are scrolling through your phones. It seems harmless at first, but over time, it takes away from those moments of building connection, which can actually happen. Technology is a barrier. These digital distractions can actually create a lot of trouble in your relationship. The constant pull of our phones, what is happening on social media, did we get a like, how many people have commented, all these things, they steal valuable time and attention away from our partners, which in turn creates a disconnection as they are physically present, but emotionally they are lost in that digital world. And this can lead to a sense of loneliness even when we are physically together. So, the constant notifications and updates from our phones, the excessive screen time, and the emotional disconnect lost in the digital world creates a sense of isolation and loneliness within the relationship. Let me share an example with you. I had a client who told me that she and her husband spent more time on their devices than actually speaking with each other. So they would be in bed back to back, but each of them would be glued to their own respective either phone or laptop. She realized that she couldn't remember the last time they had a deep conversation without checking their notifications. Does this sound familiar to you? It does, right? It has happened to all of us and it is continuously happening. But this is something that you need to be mindful of. So we've talked about the problem. Now, how do we fix it? The good news is that you can start building that emotional bridge today. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. So, here's tip one on how you can fix your loneliness. The first step is to prioritize intentional conversations. Even if you can do it for 10 minutes a day without distractions, keep your phones, laptops, TV away, and that will make a significant difference. These conversations don't have to be deep or dramatic, they can simply be about sharing your day, what happened, is there anything that's bothering you, is there something that you guys want to work on together, and listening attentively to what each person is saying. This simple act of being present and engaged can really strengthen your emotional bond and make you feel connected. Here's what you need to do: make time for focused, distraction free conversations where you can truly listen and connect with your partner. Practice active listening, truly engaging with what your partner has to say, and then respond with a lot of empathy and understanding. And just allocate some time, even if it is 10 minutes every day, intentionally to have that conversation, which can make a difference and help you to foster that connection and build that emotional bond. Tip number two, what you can do is address the emotional baggage gently and with respect. Choose the right time and place for these conversations, ensuring that both the partners feel safe and supported. Avoid any blame or criticizing and just focus on understanding each other's perspectives. Remember that healing always takes time and effort. So be patient with yourself and your partner throughout that process. So, here's what you can do. First of all, choose the right time when both the partners are relaxed and open to have that conversation. Second, do it in a safe space, a comfortable environment where you both won't be disturbed and you feel secure and supported. And third, keep your focus on the understanding part, where you're going to try and understand your partner's perspective and listen to it, even if you don't agree, but still be kind and sympathetic and empathetic with what you're saying to your partner. This is very important, and try to resolve the emotional baggage that maybe your partner is carrying. Tip number three, create tech free zones in your relationships. This could mean no phones during meals, or maybe once you're in the bedroom, then you just keep your laptops outside, disconnect your phones, put them on charge, put them on silent, and allocate designated quality time for each other. It is crucial to be intentional about this, that you are going to disconnect from the digital world and fully connect with your partner. So, what you can do is enjoy maybe a tech free dinner, that every day when you sit down for dinner, you're going to keep the phones away. Or you could stay away from technology and relax together by reading a book or watching something together or having a conversation, creating that sense of intimacy and shared experience. And the third way that you can do it is by doing any outdoor activity. Simply embrace nature, go out for a walk, hand in hand, talk about something. How was your day? What is happening? Anything that you need to work on together, or just simply admiring nature or what's happening around you, looking at the stars, feeling the breeze on your face. This is quality time that you can spend with your partner. And next is tip number four, where beyond sex, physical affection is really crucial for any relationship and for emotional intimacy. So, holding hands, cuddling, lying next to each other, touching each other, these can go a long way in strengthening your emotional bond. These small gestures of physical touch, they convey love, they convey care and connection, which reminds you that you are not alone. So, here's what you can do: hold hands as and when you get a chance. Do that. If you're going for a walk, hold hands. If you're going to the mall, you can hold hands. It's a simple form of touch. Cuddling, cuddle with each other. After you've had your dinner, or if you get some time on a Sunday, just get into bed and just be close to each other physically. It really has a huge, massive difference. And kissing. Kissing is one of the very important things. It creates oxytocin. Hugging creates oxytocin. So, hug each other, convey the warmth and affection for each other, and kissing can really make a lot of difference. So, these are some of the things that you can do to bring back that emotional connection, which is maybe lacking in your relationship. None of these require any big changes, but what they require is consistency from you. Small gestures, holding hands while watching TV, giving a hug when you get home. Studies show that physical touch always boosts oxytocin, which is the key to emotional bonding. So here's the thing: Feeling lonely in a relationship doesn't mean that you're doomed, your relationship is gone, and nothing can be evolved or nothing can be corrected. It's not like that. It means that there is a lot of work to be done, and this work can bring you closer than ever. Relationships are constantly evolving, and sometimes we just need to reconnect, re-establish that emotional bond. It can even happen after years of being together, because by that time you have finished your responsibilities, your kids are busy with their own lives, you have more time, work is kind of settled, and that is the time that you can use to build that intimacy with each other. And the best part, you can start doing it right now. So don't waste a single moment and start working on that intimacy with your partner so that you don't feel lonely anymore. If this video resonated with you, I want you to take action today. Try one of the tips that I have mentioned and let me know how it went for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. I would love to know what you think about my videos. Is this being useful for you? If you have any other problems, issues that you would want me to talk about, you can share that. And don't also forget to share this with someone who might be going through something like this in their life. This happens with the best of us. In fact, it happens with all of us. At some point, we all feel emotionally disconnected in our intimate lives. So share this with a couple who you know who may be feeling distant, who have finished their share of responsibilities, and now it's time for them to spend some time working on their own intimacy and being happy together. So share this with someone like that. And remember that your relationship is always worth it. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you again in another video next week. Till then, take care of yourself and keep working on your intimacy.